Today we're going to showcase Biden's interview with NBC. He was asked a lot of hard questions, actually. They kind of put his feet to the fire just for a little bit, very tiny bit, put a coal underneath his feet. And you can see that Biden immediately started to sweat. The first question was, hey, the rhetoric. I know you guys keep talking about rhetoric, but you said the word bullseye. So how can you explain that? Isn't that increasing the rhetoric? So I really appreciate, I think his name is Stephanopoulos, for that question. So let's showcase the question to you guys and let's discuss.
Mr. President, thank you for sitting down with us. There's a lot to talk about. I'd like to start with the horrible events of last weekend. It has shocked a lot of Americans. A political rally, your opponent, Donald Trump, shot in the middle of greeting his supporters. You spoke to Mr. Trump afterward. Can you give me a sense of that conversation?
Very cordial. I told him how concerned I was and wanted to make sure I knew how he was actually doing. He sounded good. He said he was fine. And he thanked me for calling him. I told him he was literally in the prayers of Jill and me. And I hope his whole family was weathering this.
You were in Delaware when this happened. What was your first reaction?
My first reaction was, my God, look, there's so much violence now, the way we talk about it. I mean, the whole notion that there is this, there's no place at all for violence in politics in America. None. Zero. And we've reached a point where it's become too commonplace, not assassinations, but to talk about it. For example, you know, the January 6th, you know, the attack on the Capitol. Lester, I got in this race early on in 2020 for the 2020 race. I wasn't going to run again because I lost my son. I didn't feel, and until I watched what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. Those folks coming out of the woods with torches, carrying swastikas, singing the same Nazi bile. It was accompanied by this Ku Klux Klan, and a young woman was killed. And I was a bystander. And the president, then president, was asked, what do you think? He said, they're very fine people on both sides.
All right, guys, it was very hard to understand exactly what he was trying to say, but very, very hard. I can't believe this is our president, and they want to elect him for another 4 years. The guy can barely speak. But yeah, he basically is saying that he is running again. He didn't want to run again in 2020 or after 2020, but he had to run, or for 2020, I think. But he ran anyways because he saw these guys with the tiki torches. You guys remember the tiki torches? That Jews will not replace us, guys. And he's saying that is the reason. That rhetoric, that violence, the Nazism coming back was the reason. He wanted to basically bring back the country, I think is what he was trying to get. The point he was trying to get to is it's just so hard for him to make any points. But I want to actually kind of challenge him on that. If that's true, then we should also be able to, then Trump should be able to also say, hey, I'm running. I didn't really want to run, but after I saw the BLM riots and how, unjustly they were, how unruly they were burning cars, bringing down buildings, or like burning down buildings, robbing shops and stores, and closing down areas and putting people's lives in danger. Violence, people died during those protests. Remember Kyle? His life was in danger. He had to kill a couple of dudes and shoot into a crowd. And these protests were extremely violent. So I just want to challenge Biden there and say that Trump has the exact same argument too. He could say that, hey, I saw that America was faltering. I saw that the rhetoric and the violence was increasing, and I wanted to calm it down. And all he has to go against that is Trump's words. Like, he's going to say, no, well, Trump said this and Trump said that. And Trump is agitating rhetoric. But Stephanopoulos catches him here on how Biden himself was agitating rhetoric. For example, mentioning that bullseye comment, and listen to Biden's response. He literally starts to flounder apart.
I'd find people on both sides. No excuse, zero.
Well, let's talk about the conversation this has started, and it's really about language, what we say out loud and the consequences of those. You called your opponent an existential threat. On a call a week ago, you said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that.
I didn't say
words
crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing. Focus.
Oh, so it's a mistake to use the word, but but when they use certain words, you immediately put upon them certain intentions, like, oh, they use the T keys, torches, yelling out Jews will not replace us. So you call them Nazis, and but God forbid you say something like, hey, I'm gonna put Trump in a bullseye 2 days before an assassination attempt. Why can I not also link your words to the intention behind the assassination attempt also, and say that you are the one that started the assassination attempt with your words? You already just apologized saying that those were the wrong words to use, so you already look really bad. So I can also justify and say, well, the shooter must have used your bullseye comment to justify his own shooting, which means that you're the one increasing the rhetoric and raising the temperature. You're the one with the bad rhetoric, and you're the one with the hateful rhetoric and basically introducing violence into this debate. But interested in your opinions. What do you think, guys? Let's continue here.
On his policies, focus on the number of lies he told in the debate. Focus. I mean, there's a whole range of things that look.
He already conceded he shouldn't have used those words. So that means his words could have been misconstrued. So that means he could literally be at fault for the assassination attempt.
The guy that said, I want to be a dictator on day one. I'm not the guy that refused to accept the outcome of the election. I'm not the guy who said that won't accept the outcome.
This is important because they keep using the words of the opponent to justify why the opponent is the demon, the satanic person from hell. But then when you use that same argument against them, you say, well, you use this word. No, you don't understand me. I'm a great guy. I'm so good. No, what about those guys? Exactly the Destiny debate tactic. I swear to God, Destiny literally's job is to just perfect these arguments for the Democrats. Destiny's debate tactic is to say, hey, I'm justified to use words because his words are much worse than mine. So Biden just said, hey, I must have used the wrong word by using the word bullseye, but I'm not the guy that said this and this and this and started using words to basically create a new intention upon the guy. So I couldn't use your words to create an intention about you, but you can use the other person's word to create new intentions. Like, for example, I couldn't put the intention upon you that you want him to be assassinated by using the word, hey, we should put Trump in a bullseye. But for some reason, you can say that Trump is a Nazi because he said, I don't know, he said these people are fine people from both sides. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, these are bad arguments. They're straw-manning positions using speculation and assumption. They don't know what the actual intention behind the words were. They're just speculating. And then when you catch them on certain words they use and you say, hey, well, what's the intention behind your words? It seems like this is the intention. They're so easily able to push that away. Well, Trump should be able to also push that away, but you won't even give it to him. You won't allow him to be able to push that. But for some reason, we're supposed to allow you to just push that comment away and act like you meant focus, not a crosshair. BS. BS, we all know what he meant there when he said, let's put the bullseye on Trump.
With this election, automatically, you can't only love your country when you win. And so the focus was on what he's saying, and I mean, the idea.
But have you taken a step back and done a little soul searching on things that you may have said that could incite people who are not balanced?
Well,
wait a minute, Stephanopoulos, are you insane? Are you challenging the President of the United States? You're insane. Obviously, the demon is Trump. Nah, you can't say I used any bad words because the demon is Trump, remember? I think Stephanopoulos forgot.
I don't think, look, how do you talk about the threat to democracy, which is real, when a president says things like...
Yeah, by the way, that's inciting violence. When you say this guy is the new Hitler and he's a threat for democracy, you're inciting violence. You're basically making a moral argument to take him down. You're making a moral justification, and if you're equivocating him to Hitler, you're making a moral justification to take him down. So you can't sit there and say, well, look at this guy's words. They're creating so much rhetoric. And then when we ask you, well, look here, you said this, this, and this here. No, 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 no. You don't understand me. It's not me. I'm not a bad guy. But look at what he does here. Absolutely disgusting attempt to try to push off blame to the other side. And that's exactly what Destiny has been doing for the past, like, 4 days on Twitter.
He says, do you just not say anything because it may incite somebody? Look, I've not engaged in that rhetoric. Now, my opponent is engaged in that rhetoric. He talks about...
how can you say that? He just stopped you. He said, hey, you said bullseye. And you had to explain, oh, I used the wrong word there. It was the bad word to use. But then you're going to say that you didn't engage in any rhetoric? You're such a liar. I mean, this guy is a liar. I don't know if you already forgot that Stephanopoulos just caught him on this.
To be a bloodbath if he loses, talking about how he's going to forgive all the...
You said bullseye, and you justified using bullseye. You were like, no, I know it was the wrong word to use, but I didn't mean to focus in his... I meant focus. I didn't mean putting him in the crosshair. But now you're actually putting intention and speculating the intentions of other people's words. When we did it to you, we failed. But for some reason, we're supposed to understand that you're going to succeed when you do it to somebody else. I mean, these people are such trashy people. But the problem is the lefties believe this. The lefties have been completely brainwashed and mind-controlled. They believe anything the authoritarians say from the rights, from the good side, that they believe is the good side, and they don't believe, and they believe every like demonizing thing that their side says about the other side as well. So the lefties have completely lost their brains. They're completely brainwashed.
Actually, I guess suspend the sentence.
The funny thing is Stephanopoulos can see it here. Is like, hey, I get it. You're saying that there was a lot of rhetoric from the other side, but what about you? You were like agitated. You said a lot of bad words.
All those who were arrested and sentenced to go to jail because of what happened in the Capitol. I'm not out there making fun of, like, remember the picture of Donald Trump when Nancy Pelosi's husband was hit with a hammer, joking about it?
This doesn't sound like you're turning down the heat, though. You've talked about the...
No. Look, what I'm turning down, we have to stop the whole notion that there are certain things that are contrary to our democracy that we're for. The idea of saying that I didn't win the election, when every court in the land, I don't know, 20 appeals said, including this conservative Supreme Court, said we won. The idea of having a loyalty pledge from all the folks who are in the Republican MAGA, not all Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, saying that no, we lost the election, inflaming the people that say,
So what can you and what will you do, at least things you can control, to lower down the temperature, the rhetoric out there?
So I don't understand this. What's the position here? Is that the Republicans are the only ones that did not believe in the elections, or that the Republicans were the ones that are actually election deniers? Well, I forget. Did we all forget what happened with the Democrat?
When we hear people saying I'm young and I'm a perfect specimen, instead of addressing the fact that 50,000 people were infected, reported to be infected yesterday, nearly 1,000 people died. What are we talking about?
So for 3.5 years, the Democrats have failed to accept the results of the 2016 election. Remember Rachel Maddow yelling out, Russia collusion. You guys forgot about the Russia collusion? And now we're going to act like the Republicans are the election deniers? I don't get this. I don't get this point.
Continue to talk about the things that matter to the American public. It matters whether or not you accept the outcome of elections. It matters whether or not you, for example, talk about how you're going to deal with the border instead of talking about people as being vermin. And those things matter. That's the kind of language that is inflammatory.
Mr. President, you've been in politics a very long time. So
yelling bullseye, we need to put a bullseye on this guy's head is not inflammatory at all. But God forbid you say, hey, maybe the election was stolen. Hey, it seems like there's Too many mail-in ballots here. Oh my God, look, they wouldn't let these people vote here. Oh, they brought in new machines here, and these machines are not working, and there's only one center to vote in, one voting center in the whole county. That's the problems we were bringing up as Republicans. We were not yelling out Russians stole our elections because Trump was taken over. Trump came in. We did not say that Trump is a Putin puppet. We didn't say that he's the democracy ends if we elect Trump. No, none of us incited hatefulness like that. It's only the Democrats that did. Guys, I'm interested in your opinions. What do you think about this? Do you believe Biden when he makes these statements saying, oh, I'm not the one that's creating rhetoric. I actually want to reduce the temperature. It's Trump, the other guy, that's increasing the temperature. What do you think about my arguments here? Did I make anything wrong? Please respond to me. And yeah, make sure you guys subscribe, like, and I love all of you.